Coming up on Oregon News, it's getting harder to find a place to live in Eugene. We'll tell you why. Gas prices are on the rise, especially in Oregon, just in time for summer. And some exciting news, 3 Oregon softball players are moving on up. These stories and more coming up on Oregon News.
Good afternoon and welcome to Oregon News. I'm Savanna.
And I'm Taylor Fritz. Here are today's top stories. There's no question about the Eugene housing market being tight. There are far fewer properties for sale and far more buyers than sellers, but those aren't the only reasons.
All across Eugene, there are scenes like this. Construction going up to build more homes for the growing Eugene population. But keeping up with the demand for housing is not just about construction, it also has to do with zoning.
Highlighted in yellow is a rough outline of that current boundary.
And while it may be a difficult process to expand these boundaries, it can also be difficult if you want to build duplexes here when they only allow you to build them here. The city of Eugene must plan for enough housing within this boundary to meet the needs for the next 20 years, and that plan includes zoning codes. Terry Harding, City of Eugene's principal planner, says these codes haven't been updated since after World War II. During that time, there is a boom in suburban development, which the codes favored because of the single-family housing trend. While single-family homes were big in the 50s, there is a higher demand now for apartments and duplexes.
You know, students are living in apartments mostly. Young families usually want a single-family house, and then as boomers retire and they want to downsize, there's not a lot for them to choose from in our local market.
That's not to say zoning codes are the only reason for the tight housing market in Eugene. Tom Dye, a reviewing principal broker for Keller Williams of Eugene Springfield, has worked in Lane County for roughly 18 years. He says he's not worried about the market coming back up.
Real estate is cyclical. And we go through periods where we don't have as many properties available. But the other thing is that they're selling really fast. So they're selling faster than we can have people interested in selling.
As different solutions continue to be proposed for Eugene's market, one thing people are agreeing on is building more houses. The process of updating these codes is not quick or easy. Harding says the process can take years of study and community input to figure out what the right updates are. From there, the planning committee can make a recommendation to Eugene city councilors. Harding emphasized that as Eugene continues to grow, it is important to find a balance.
Whenever we look at updating our codes, because it's a balance. It's always a balance between providing additional housing and making it easy enough for people to build new housing, and preserving the qualities that make Eugene special.
That way, as more homes like this are built, we don't miss out on places like this.
If you want to comment on the zoning plan, go to the City of Eugene's website.
Students are having trouble finding and affording places to live. Housing near the University of Oregon is getting more expensive as apartment rates continue to rise. Reporter Riley Collin reports.
This is Chandani Bassett. When she's away from school, she's working at Dutch Brothers to be able to pay the bills and afford a place to live in Eugene while being a full-time student.
I pay for everything by myself, and I also have to pay for tuition on top of housing. I have to pick the cheapest option.
That option being Ducks Village, which is 2 miles away from campus, not near any grocery store, and still pretty pricey. In fact, Chandani is still paying $525 a month with 3 other roommates. And the closer you get to campus, the pricier it gets.
Eugene's Renewal District paid $5.7 million.
This is Chandani Bassett. When she's away from school, she's working at Dutch Brothers to be able to pay the bills and afford a place to live in Eugene while being a full-time student.
I pay for everything by myself, and I also have to pay for tuition on top of housing. I have to pick the cheapest option.
That option being Ducks Village, which is 2 miles away from campus, not near any grocery store, and still pretty pricey. In fact, Chandani is still paying $525 a month with 3 other roommates. And the closer you get to campus, the pricier it gets. Students are paying close to $700 or $800 for an apartment with 3 other roommates. Nia Thigpian is a manager from the 515 Apartments located on Broadway, 0.5 miles from campus, which is about a 7-minute walk. She explains if rent goes up at another complex in town, it will go up at hers as well.
So it all depends on our market, and that's what we look at as a whole. And then kind of everybody plays off of each other. Like 13th and Olive, Courtside and Skybox, like everybody really moves with each other.
She does admit her company tries to consider students' income in affordable living situations.
It means a lot when people come in saying, hey, look, I really want to live here, but I just cannot afford it. Or, hey, I really want to live here, but parking isn't included, so I just can't stay. ACC listens. Like, they really listen to that.
But for students just like Chandni, the 515 is still too expensive. Which is why she has to live here, miles from campus or near any grocery store, just to afford a place to live.
When I looked at those other places, I realized that it was just way too expensive for me, and I was stuck living miles away.
For Oregon News, I'm Riley Collin.
In other news, Eugene may be getting into the housing market. If their plans become reality, they may develop apartments on the riverfront.
This is Chandni Bass.
Eugene's Renewal District paid $5.7 million to create Eugene's first urban park. Last Tuesday, the city finalized the purchase to redevelop 16 acres of the former E-Web riverfront property. The 3-acre park will give the community an open space to enjoy, as well as the opportunity to reuse Eugene's historic steam plant. Landscape architect Emily Proudfoot explains more.
You know, ideally we're doing a lot of habitat enhancements on the riverbank, but yet making it a really fun place for people to come and hang out and enjoy the riverfront.
The Eugene community traces its origins to the river, and the E-Web property connects the river to Willamette Street. This project will commemorate Eugene Skinner setting up his first ferry on the river and the creation of Eugene's first water filtration. Alongside developing the park, Eugene will create a new downtown neighborhood, which will include a variety of housing, streets, paths, and public amenities.
And we're creating a gathering place, and maybe there's a way to tie up your boat and go down the river or have lunch or have a beer.
Beer, lime, and hopefully sunshine when Eugene welcomes the riverfront development before the 2021 IAAF Track and Field World Championships. The bike share program has just kicked off in Eugene, and already there are complaints. We'll have details coming up.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
The bike share program, Peace Health Rides, has officially launched and brought with it some new complications to street parking. Carly Bellin reports.
The bikes have taken Eugene by storm. With low prices ranging from $5 per month for students to $15 per month for community members, the bikes offer an easy travel choice for Eugene and Springfield residents. But some are not pleased with the bikes taking up already limited parking spaces. Mary DeLeon is a student at the University of Oregon. She says that she only received 1 day's warning that the bikes were going to take up some of the spots on her street.
And then literally the next day they just start putting the bike racks there, and I was like that takes up 3 parking spots. You can't just do that.
Lindsay Hayward, general manager of Peace Health Rides, says their ultimate goal is getting more students on bikes.
So we did take out some parking, but are adding more bikes. So hopefully it's getting people to utilize bikes as opposed to driving their personal vehicles.
Hayward explained that the goal is to target incoming students not to bring their vehicles. But she says there's not a lot of answers she can provide for current students with cars. For De Leon, the question is still where to park.
I've absolutely noticed a difference. It's really already hard to find parking spots, but especially now, I've noticed ever since then, there was a time where this whole my whole block was filled, and then the block next to me was full, and I was like, great, where am I gonna park now?
Reporting for Oregon News, I'm Carly Bellin.
After years of debate, the Eugene City Council has voted to amend its transportation code to accommodate rideshare companies. Though taxi companies expressed concerns about competition from Uber and Lyft, many other Eugene residents and businesses argued in favor of the low-cost rideshare programs. It will take several weeks to work out details in the transportation code. While this warm weather has many Oregonians itching to travel, a rise in gas prices might have you thinking twice. Tiago has more.
Gas prices have been going up to a level not seen since 2015. As Oregonians prepare for the summer season, those higher prices are a reality many drivers are noticing. A spokeswoman for the Automobile Association says it's not just higher demand causing the increased prices.
The main reasons behind the recent gas price hikes are very robust demand for gasoline in the U.S. and around the globe, and higher crude oil prices.
Dodd says conflicts in the Middle East and growing economies are also important factors to consider when projecting future gas prices.
AAA has been projecting all along that this year would be more expensive than the last couple of years, but likely not as expensive as 2014, when in Oregon our statewide average peaked at $3.99 a gallon.
Oregon gas prices are now the 6th highest in the country. This is Tiago reporting for Oregon News.
Gas prices are expected to continue to rise over the next few months.
A new bill introduced in the United States Senate aims to make hemp legal to grow, which could affect local businesses. Mark Grandy reports.
Hemp has been around for a long time. The versatile fiber has been used to make rope, fabric, biofuel, and even dog treats. But it's been against federal law to grow hemp since 1970 because hemp is so closely related to marijuana. Hemp advocates point out that while it is the fiber of the cannabis plant, hemp itself contains minimal THC, which is the psychoactive compound that gives marijuana users a high. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell recently introduced the Hemp Farm Bill of 2018, which would take hemp off the federal controlled substance list, making it legal to grow hemp commercially. The bill has bipartisan support, including from Oregon Senator Ron Wyden.
What would be wrong with saying if you can buy it in a major supermarket in America, our farmers ought to be able to grow it?
Under Obama-era legislation, it became legal to grow small amounts of hemp in Oregon, but that couldn't provide enough fiber to manufacture many hemp products. Nicole Crick is the co-owner of Hippie Hemp in Eugene.
There's not enough industrial hemp that's grown within the United States to be produced into textiles for clothing.
Crick says if passed, this bill would make it cheaper to buy hemp in-state as opposed to importing it. In addition, Crick says it would make other areas of owning a hemp-based business easier.
People won't have to worry about that whole gray area of hemp CBD because it won't be classified with marijuana.
The bill would allow hemp to be sold as an agricultural commodity and would leave regulation up to the states. Mark Grandy, Oregon News.
The bill has a total of 7 co-sponsors, though it is still to be seen whether the bill will go to a vote. In Oregon sports, the tennis team is in the championships and the 3 softball players have been chosen in the draft. We'll be back with Jillian Smuckler in sports.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Good afternoon and welcome to sports. I'm Jillian Smuckler. There's a lot to discuss today, including the broken records, NCAA championships, and 2 drafts, so let's jump right into it. The UO men's tennis team ended its regular season with the first ever victory against Cal. They entered the Pac-12 tournament as the number 4 seed, which began this week in Ojai, California. The Ducks played against Cal yesterday again, and the result was no different. The Ducks took the win 4-3. The Ducks will be playing top-ranked UCLA in half an hour. A Pac-12 championship berth is on the line. Duck baseball has suffered 5 losses this past week and is now heading into a tough series against the Trojans. Both teams are 6-12 in Pac-12 play and are in desperate need for a late-season push. The Ducks will host USC in a Pac-12 series starting tonight at 6 p.m. This past weekend, the Oregon State Beavers dominated the Ducks, winning all 3 games in a weekend series at Corvallis. Despite the hard loss for the Ducks, infielder Kyle Kasser explains what his team needs to do moving forward.
Baseball is an up and down sport, but I mean, we got to get it down. We're in a down right now, obviously, and we got to get out of that as soon as possible. And, like I said, I mean, we're just excited to get back out here and get back to work so we can get a win tomorrow.
The Ducks continued their losing streak against Portland on Wednesday, falling 1-2. George Horton believes attitude adjustments from the team and staff will help the Ducks be successful in the future.
Hopefully the theme amongst them and the coaching staff is to address things, but address it in a positive way, try to get our confidence back.
The Ducks have won 13 of their last 18 games against the Trojans, but USC leads the all-time series 27-18. Monday night was a dream come true for 3 senior softball players at the U of O. This draft brought a first and a homecoming. 3 Oregon softball seniors were drafted in the NPF Monday night.
Monday night was so cool for all 3 of us to get drafted, especially because we all live together.
Shortstop DJ Sanders went to the Chicago Bandits at number 21, and third baseman Jenna Lilly at number 22 to the Cleveland Comets. But the highest NPF pick in program history went to catcher Gwen Savekis at number 3 to the Chicago Bandits.
Kind of humbling to know that a program felt that I was that important to the progression of their program to pick me that early.
Jenna Lilly will be returning to her home state of Ohio, and for her, it's a homecoming.
So I grew up about 45 minutes, hours south of Cleveland, and then for the last 4 years, I've lived just 20 minutes south of it, so my family's all around there.
She says how important the growth of this program has been for women's sports at the university.
It's been an honor to be a part of it all 4 years and watch the program grow in different ways. I think kind of break through some barriers of being an underdog to now being one of the top programs at the school for an established period of time, and it's really special.
In program history, 15 players have been drafted in the NPF, and 12 have been drafted since Mike White took over as head coach in 2010. Oregon softball hopes their elite dominance doesn't stop here.
It's been incredible, and I can't wait to see where it continues to grow to, hopefully starting with some stuff this year and then on and on into the future. So it's been really cool, really awesome, and can't wait to see where it goes.
Before those 3 Ducks start preparing for their exciting futures, they plan to take care of business and finish out their season strong and hopefully reach another World Series. Oregon Track and Field headed down to Southern California this past weekend to participate in the NCAA West Regional Meet. The Ducks were able to rack up a bunch of career bests and UO all-time top 10 marks in the process. Last weekend in the Elite Invitational section at the Mount Sac Relays, Oregon Track and Field junior Shaquin Cook set a new University of Oregon's outdoor triple jump record. Cook had a personal best of 45 feet, 7 inches and finished 3rd, moving to the top of the UO outdoor list. She now holds Oregon's all-time record in both indoor and outdoor triple jump and is number 4 on the Pac-12 all-time performance list. Head coach Robert Johnson believes this will give players the extra push to beat their personal bests in the future.
Shaquin Cook there and breaking the school record in the triple jump. You know, that's a long way, and really proud of her and the progress that she's made. And so hopefully the sky's the limit for all of these guys.
Cook is ranked number 2 in the nation in the women's outdoor triple jump and is in the top 25 nationally in the long jump. The Ducks are in Corvallis today and tomorrow to compete in the OSU High Performance. The next meet in Eugene is a week away, where many Oregon alumni will return home to participate in the Oregon Twilight. The NFL draft is currently underway, and while many seem surprised by the first-round draft pick, the top 10 in round 1 otherwise went as expected. The 2018 NFL draft is fully underway in Arlington, Texas, as yesterday marked the beginning of the first-round picks. With the first pick of the NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns raised some eyebrows with Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield as first pick. USC's Sam Darnold was projected by many mock drafts to be number 1 overall, but ended up at number 3. Saquon Barkley, Denzel Ward, and Bradley Chubb were all drafted in the top 5. Be on the lookout this weekend as there are multiple Oregon alumni, including Royce Freeman, Tyrell Crosby, Tanner Carew, Arion Springs, and Aiden Schneider, all who are hoping to have their name called in the next couple of days. Now it is anyone's guess who will be selected tonight, with round 2 continuing live on the NFL Network at 7 p.m. That's a wrap for the sports desk. Carly, will the sun stick around long enough for the weekend?
Well, Jillian, I hate to break it to you, but after a couple of beautiful sunny days here in Eugene, it looks like it's time for the rain to return. Today we're looking at highs in the mid-50s and lows in the mid-40s. With a 55% chance of rain, it's time to put away the sundresses and bring out your rain boots. Saturday we'll see more of the same, with highs hovering around 60 and lows dipping to 46. Sunday we'll have rain, and you guessed it, more rain. Highs in the low 50s and lows in the low 40s. And it doesn't look like you can escape the rain either, as we've got a fairly similar forecast up in Portland. Today we're looking at a high of 57 and a low of 48 with a 64% chance of rain. Temperatures will stay pretty consistent through the weekend, with highs in the mid-50s and lows in the mid to high 40s. Heading east to Bend, where sunshine seems a little more promising. While there's still a 60% chance of rain, Bend will expect to see some sunshine this weekend. Just a couple of showers today with a high of 62 and low of 37 degrees. Saturday we're looking at a partly cloudy forecast with highs at a comfortable 54 degrees and lows of 34. No rain on Sunday, but we will expect the sun to go back into hiding, leaving highs in the low 50s and lows dipping to 32 degrees. Planning a trip to the Woodburn Tulip Farm? You may want to consider waiting for a sunnier weekend. In Woodburn, we're looking at a weekend filled with rain and cold temperatures. Across the weekend, Woodburn will have highs in the mid-50s and lows in the mid to high 40s. While we may be having a rainy weekend across Oregon, it looks like it might be a little too late. Up next, Lorna reports on how one of Oregon's biggest industries is feeling the effects of drought.
As Jason Flowers loads farm equipment into his truck, he is one day closer to another hot and dry summer.
This is what I love doing. This is my life. But there are days where you get tired of fighting, that's for sure.
Flowers has been a farmer in Klamath Falls for 35 years, and the low rainfall is making farming a taxing venture. 2018 marks the 4th consecutive year that Klamath County has declared a drought. This means for farmers like Jason Flowers, it will be another tough year around the Klamath Basin.
I'd say there's been more years in the last at least 10 years that we have not got a full allotment of water.
As a 4th generation hay farmer, Flowers Farm has been in the family for more than 100 years. As he loads equipment into his truck, he points to where his crops usually sprout.
You know, in order to survive, you got to have some reserves stored up, or you got to have a really good relationship with your bank. You got to have money to live off of, you got to eat.
Ponds, just like the ones behind me, are used as water storage to irrigate nearby fields. But due to the low level of snowpack and the limited river water, the ponds have dried up. Oregon News reached out to Klamath Irrigation District Board member Tyler Martin, and he says it's not just the low snowpack to blame, but the strict water laws as well. Martin says, even when farmers don't get full delivery of water, there is still enough water in the lake. So if it wasn't for court orders and Endangered Species Act, even in years of drought, there would still be enough water to have irrigation. Reporting from Klamath Falls for Oregon News, this is Lorna.
And even this weekend's rain will not be enough to avoid an Oregon drought. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Carly. Turkeys are taking over Eugene. What the city is doing about it. Coming up.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
If you walked by the Lillis Lawn this past week, you probably noticed a large box covered in messages about strength and love. The box is part of the Solidarity Project that aims to raise awareness and support victims of sexual assault. People passing by were free to write their own words of encouragement on the box and spend some time reading the notes left by others.
This project means a lot to me. I have some sexual assault in my past, and so some things that I've never talked about and things that haven't received much healing for. And so this event is really important to me, to hear things that I've never heard from people.
With the event, also handed out words of encouragement and wristbands to those passing by.
Eugene has a wild turkey problem. Increasingly, these feathered gobblers have found their way into residential neighborhoods, stopping traffic, and even attacking residents. But now the city may have found a way to keep the turkeys out. Avita Garza reports.
People either love them or they hate them. The wild turkeys of Eugene continue to greet and sometimes attack members of the community.
Yeah, I know. He's been here for like an hour.
But recently, community members have raised concerns of not only the turkeys, but the feeding of rats and other wildlife roaming Eugene neighborhoods and destroying property.
Leave some leaves on there.
In response, Eugene City Council has proposed an ordinance that prohibits feeding of wildlife if the feeding causes damage to neighboring properties or attracting rats. Lindsay Seltzer, the communications analyst for the city of Eugene, weighs in on the number of complaints City Council has received on the issue.
I imagine that we've always had rats in our community, but in the last couple of years, we've heard more and more feedback that there is an issue.
Oregon News asked some Eugene residents to weigh in on the wildlife ban. Chloe Simmons is one resident who continues to support keeping wildlife out of Eugene.
Definitely poses a ton of different issues, and then they feel more likely to come around. So yeah, I would definitely be happy with a ban being put on no feeding wildlife.
Although some residents don't mind the wildlife at all. Eugene resident Stuart Mitchell explains what he has witnessed some wild turkeys do.
But there is a great story where a male turkey thought that somebody's red convertible going up their hill was competition, so he got in the way and started boxing out the car, basically, you know, like, get at me.
Reporting for Oregon News, this is Avita Garza.
City Council has recently called for a public hearing on the wildlife feeding ban. No date has been set yet.
In Corvallis, a new service dog is training to be a friend in need. Hannah Morrow reports.
Jackson, a 15-month-old whippet, is in training to be a service dog. He has recently started going to schools to help children practice their reading. Jacqueline Barrington, his owner, talks about how this program benefits the children.
If they are reluctant about reading, they get excited about reading. They start interacting. A lot of the kids interact with the dog while they're reading. They pet them, and and sometimes the kids just visit with the dog, and that's what they like. And the dogs are very accepting and love unconditionally.
Jackson is taking the place of Dusty, a service dog who is 15 years old and has been working for the past 14. Dusty's old age is causing his joints to hurt and makes it hard for him to sit down for the whole reading. Dusty has worked at hospitals, schools, and living centers and touched countless lives. Jackson is slowly taking over some of Dusty's readings and is learning quickly.
Jackson, he's come a long ways. He's learned a lot, and he really likes coming out with us.
Jacqueline has seen firsthand how interacting with these dogs has impacted people's lives.
It's amazing what a difference you'll see. Just lots of little miracles happen.
For Oregon News, this is Hannah Morrow.
That's all for Oregon News today. We'll be back on Monday with Oregon updates.
And please join us next Friday when Oregon News returns. Have a great weekend.